I'm not defensive about it. Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. First things first, guys, make sure you're smashing the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff, and leave your thoughts in the comments below as always. As you can see, I'm joined by Villa fan Luke from Up the Villa, and today's video, we're going to be discussing the early race for the top four. Is it a shootout between Chelsea and Aston Villa, or can any other sides get themselves into the race? Mate, thank you for coming as always. It's been quite a summer for your lads. Obviously, you know, spent a lot of money, bought some exciting players in, lost one or two as well. Hasn't seemed to affect you. We're both sitting on the same points after 7 games this season. We're just ahead on the goal difference. You must be pretty happy with how things have gone so far, mate.
Yeah, definitely. I think from a Villa point of view, we had an amazing season last year, the best season I've ever had as a Villa fan, you know, qualifying 4th, Champions League. So we have all of that to look forward to, and we're doing pretty well in it, actually. So, you know, it's going pretty well. But I think what we wanted to do was to continue that onto this season. Like Villa are trying to get progressively top 6, become that sort of top 6 club that challenges for top 4 in and around every season. And I think all the signs this season are pretty good. The main narrative that Villa fans get at the minute is, can they do Champions League and the league? And I think last season we showed that we could do that. We were the furthest club, you know, English club in Europe that got to the semi-finals, albeit it's Conference League, but it's still playing Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday.
Not the Conference League, mate. It's good that.
No, mate. Mate, it's tough. It's tough because all European clubs are pretty decent at playing football, and whether you go into Greece, France, all these different areas, they all pose their own challenge, and you all get the challenge of playing on a Sunday, etc. And we've had that so far. So I think the good thing from a Villa point of view is that we've played 7 games. We're in and around it still. And it looks like we're going to be able to compete, you know, in Europe and the league this season.
No, mate, I'll be honest, I've been impressed. You know, that's always the question that gets thrown. I don't know if it's a bit lazy, you know, that as you referenced today, or can they deal with playing twice a week? I mean, you played twice a week last season. Yeah, it's a step up in quality, and you might not be able to do as much rotation as in the Conference League. You know, as we know, like for myself this season, we're able to play a different team pretty much, and it doesn't really affect you. In the latter stages, it might do, but I've been impressed with it. I think they look really good. You know, they've carried on over the summer, some great investment, some top players at the football club. Mate, what has much changed between sort of last season to this season? Are there any subtle differences, any major differences in terms of how Emery's set the team up, or is it very much just a continuation from what you were doing last season?
A bit of both, really. I think the big thing is I feel like Emery's a bit more serious this year. Last year, he was sort of a bit like, we're in Europe, we're learning, we're growing, we sort of see how it goes. We're not in a top 4 race, but this year I get a real sense of he really wants to succeed in everything that he does. So I think from Emery's point of view, I think he's sort of like really on it. I think so far this season, I don't think we're playing as good as last season. I don't think we're as free-flowing, and I think we are yet to get to that level, which I think we will get there. But I think we're a bit more difficult to beat when we're not playing that well. Like, we're not losing when we don't play well. And I think we are, you know, ultra competitive. We've only lost 1 game so far this season. And if I was to compare us to, say, a team that are in this mix like Spurs, I think we are a better team than Spurs.
Oh, but you're miles better.
I think Spurs are quite creative, and when it's going well, they're brilliant. But I think what we saw against Brighton is when it gets really difficult and the momentum's gone from them, Maddison disappears, the goals start going in, they lose that game 3-2. I don't really think Villa would be like that. I think we're a bit more we've got a bit more defensive nous about us, and I think we can play in different ways. Like, we can play really good attacking football, but if we need to defend and defend well, and you look at like the Bayern Munich game, and some people will say we could have got lucky or whatever, but there's an art to defending like that. There's an art to sort of like keeping the team out, having that sort of right mentality, being a complete unit, and I think we've got that sort of bit about us as well, and I think that makes for a good team, really.
No, mate, I absolutely agree. I think what Villa are doing is great. And look, you referenced Spurs. Man United obviously doing terrible right now. Newcastle, I'm not fully convinced on them. The first 11's good if everyone's fit. The squad depth is quite poor. Yes, they're playing once a week. Could they possibly be a factor? But at this early stage of proceedings, I know we're 7 games in, and it's obviously us tied on points in 4th and 5th. From what you've seen of the teams that might be contending in that race, do you think that it is very much kind of a shootout between Chelsea and Villa at the moment?
I think it's going to be compact in and around us. I think it's going to be tight. If people are to say Man City are going for the league, Arsenal are going for the league, I'm not quite sure on Liverpool yet. I think they're going to be up there, but they've got a tough run of games coming up out there. They've got Real Madrid, and they've got some really tough Premier League games. So see how they are. They might be in that sort of mix around us. I don't know. But I think, from what I've seen so far, I think I'm more worried about Chelsea than anybody else. I've been watching your Conference League game, and the team you've got there is an absolute joke.
It's the B team,
mate. It's a joke. I saw you in the cup as well, and mate, that shouldn't even be allowed.
Against Barrow.
That shouldn't be allowed. Like, that team, it was ridiculous. But yeah, so you're such a good team, and you've got Europe like us, so you probably get results where you think you're going to win and you draw. Like, we were expecting to beat Man United and we draw, but I think we are the two that might be around that place. Newcastle, I've not been impressed with them this season. I think they've played quite poor. I don't see them as the same Newcastle that got top 4. I think they're a completely different team to that, and I think that's good for like us as well. Man United, miles off it. Spurs, I think,
too inconsistent for me.
He's a bit naive, I think. He's got that one way of playing, and that is it. And he won't change. He won't alter it. I'm just not that convinced with him. But the funny thing is, we talk about that sort of football narrative. I've never once heard that about Spurs playing in Europe and playing in the. I've not heard that once, and I don't understand why. So, I'm not convinced with them. I think we can. I think we'll both finish above them.
No, I would agree on that, mate. You touched on being impressed with Chelsea. I mean, what have you made of Chelsea this season? Obviously, Enzo Maresca's come in. It's been a inexperienced manager, rookie manager's come in. It's been a bit of a mess. We did make an improvement last season. We finished the season pretty strongly. We've added some more quality in the attacking areas, and we started the season pretty well. Yeah, a couple of disappointing draws at home to Palace and Forest, but arguably in all of our games, we've actually played pretty well this season. I mean, what have you made of Chelsea? You've been impressed?
Very much so, yeah. I think Maresca's doing a really good job so far. He's got an identity, he's got a style. He'll stick with it, and it looks like it's free flowing. He's getting the best out of Palmer again. I think that was probably one where I was a little bit like, okay, he was great last year, but new manager, can he sort of replicate that again? And he's absolutely quality. He's probably one of the best players in the league. And, that game that he scored 4 goals was just ridiculous. Your bench is really good. Jackson's eating the back of the net as well. So I watched him against West Ham, and I was impressed with his movement. He's off the ball running. I thought he was good. So yeah, I think one of the big things that I liked was that little clip of Cole Palmer saying to him in one of the sessions, like, "What are you doing here?" And I must have had a day off or something. And I just think that's good. It's showing that the manager's there. He's putting all the work in, and I think the players are buying into it. And I think some of the stuff where he sort of said to some of the players that aren't really in the picture that if you don't leave, you're not playing. And I quite like that, to be fair, because it shows that he's got sort of like tunnel vision to to the direction that he wants to take the club in, and I think it's needed, and I think he's got a bit of a backbone about him from what I've
Yeah.
seen. I imagine that it's quite a difficult job with the owners of the expectation that they're putting on the football club, but it feels like he can carry it, and I think that's good for the early signs, really, and you are playing really good football.
No, mate, I agree. I think for me, the case has always been, and I think, in terms of talking about, is it Villa and Chelsea for the top four? I think at the moment it is. But, I think rightly people have said Chelsea haven't really had a test yet. And look, I think that is fair. Obviously we played Man City on the opening game of the season. You can't really draw too many conclusions from that game. But in terms of have we played any other big sides yet? No, we haven't. Yeah, we've been to grounds like Wolves, Bournemouth and West Ham, which we don't traditionally have good records at, and we've won there. But in terms of have we had a big test? We haven't. After the international break, against Liverpool, we got Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United, Arsenal, next 4 league games, a couple of those away from home. This is where the sort of the season kind of really begins. I'm pleased that we've got our points on the board in the first 7 heading into this little run, and we're going to find out a lot more kind of about us in that one. But I look at Villa, and I do see them as a threat, as genuine top 4. We saw Newcastle finish top 4, and the season after they weren't quite able to continue it on and kind of back it up. They missed out on Europe altogether last season, didn't they? So, mate, I honestly think you're serious contenders for this 4th spot. If you can sort of stop conceding first on a regular basis, that would obviously help. But I look at the players you've got. Defensively, I think you're good. Obviously, once you can get Diego Carlos out of the team at centre-back and get someone decent in there, I think you'll do all right.
Yeah, mate, when we play against good teams, he's really good. It's when we play against lower level teams that he's useless. We've kept 2 clean sheets in our last 2 games, and he's been outstanding. But put him against Ipswich, and he's like, he don't know what he's doing.
But I also think you've got a lot of goals in the team. Ollie Watkins, I know it's been a little bit of a slow start to the season. The goals are starting to come for him. I thought Moussa Diaby might be a bit of a miss. He hasn't really been a miss at all. And yeah, that guy, John Duran. Whoever the guy at Chelsea was that decided his attitude was a problem, they've done the background checks and decided against it. 40 mil would have been an absolute steal. Remember, mate, we were messaging in the summer and you were like, this guy's got to go. And, he stayed. He could have joined West Ham and the bid was turned down and whatever. He stayed. He's been unbelievable. And he's signed a new contract until 2030. That's quite some turnaround, isn't it? You've got quality players like that, you're always in with a shout. Mate, what's happened to him over the summer?
I don't know. It's like he's just knuckled down. It's like he's come back off pre-season. He was in the Copa America, so he came back really late. It's like Emery, Monchi, and Vidagani are sort of 3 head people at Villa that are running the show. Have just said to him, look, knuckle down, work hard. You'll get opportunities. You'll get game time. And he's absolutely flourishing. One of the big things for Villa as well is that one of our best players is coming back, Boubacar Kamara. He's our best central midfielder. And he was out from, I think it was late January. So to get top 4 with our best, it's like Rodri for Man City. Kamara is our Rodri.
Is he more important than Luis?
Yeah, mate, he's so good defensively. He enables us to he screens the back 3, mops up everything, and he's just really important to us. So we didn't have him, and so he's coming back now. So we're going to have our complete midfield now. So that's a massive boost for us. But Duran, he's finishing, mate. That Everton goal.
Mate, I was in the concourse at Bournemouth away, right? Because we were kicking off after that game. It was on. Seeing him do that, I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like mate, the guy's ball striking is a joke. How hard he hits the football is ridiculous. But I suppose it's a good problem to have. But can they both play in the same team? I think I've seen Emery talk about it where he thinks that might be something he looks at. It's certainly possible. I don't think we've seen it yet. Is that something you'd like to see? Is that something you think is possible, or is it very much still going to be a bit of a rotation thing?
Yeah, I think it is going to be rotation. I think they've got a lot of work to do to play together. They have been coming on in games together from about 60th minute mark, and actually how we play sometimes it's not as good. It's a bit, we get a bit sort of like stagnated, and it's not as free flowing. And I think they've just got to really hone in and work on that partnership, because I think Morgan Rogers, who plays in behind Watkins when he starts games, is really important to how we play as well. And when you're putting both of them there, that both want to score goals, that you know, a striker can sometimes be a bit selfish. I think that partnership has got to really just blossom and grow. So I think it possibly could work, but I think there is a bit of work to actually say they're going to start that game. I think maybe against sort of like lower level teams, I don't know, like if you're playing Southampton at home, that would probably be a possibility. But if you're playing Chelsea at home, I don't think you'd play both of them together.
No, fair. I mean, look, he signed a new deal. I don't know if there's a release clause in there or not. So he's obviously happy with what Villa's plans are for him. There's obviously some guarantee, as much as you can give, that he is going to get regular minutes and he is going to be sort of a big part of the plan. So I think it's exciting. I think he's one of the most exciting young centre forwards, certainly in Europe at the moment. And yeah, mate, he's going from strength to strength. So I think that's really exciting proposition to see what he's going to do this season. But kind of to round out, mate, in terms of, you know, you said you'd be happy sort of qualifying for Europe again, whether that's Champions League or one of the other competitions. But are Villa kind of at a stage now where, I don't say you're expecting top four, but it would almost be a little bit disappointing if you were to miss out on the top four this season, for example, or is that a little bit unfair?
I wouldn't say unfair. I think we've all got aspirations of doing really well, and once you've got something, you want to keep it, don't you? I think that's something that Emery speaks about. He's trying to get it again, and it will be really difficult because, as we know, there are a number of good teams in the Premier League that are all competing for top four. So, I think for me personally, if we have a really good Champions League campaign and we got Europa League, I wouldn't really be that disappointed with that. I think as long as we're still in that sort of top six, in and around it, growing and competing, and you know, even sort of like signing new players in January or in the summer, and building into this Emery team that is going to be the sort of like the finished article, then I think that's where we're trying to get to, really. But Emery's just really focused on the Premier League. He always speaks about the Premier League because he always says that that's your pathway to get into Europe and, you know, to experience those experiences. So, yeah, I think as a fan, as long as we got a form of Europe, then I'd be pretty happy, really.
But it's mental. I remember I was at Villa Park, right, a couple seasons ago when we beat you 2-0 and it was pretty much Gerrard's last game. And you fast forward 2 years and the change is mad. Well, both clubs, really. But the change has been mental in terms of how Villa have gone from a side that looked like they might have been struggling to stay in the division to a team that is genuine contenders to qualify for Champions League football each season. It's quite a transformation. Just quickly, but how important are trophies this season, by the way? I know, like, you know, I know Emery goes on about the league and the league's important and whatnot, getting into Europe and stuff. But how important are the domestic cups? I mean, winning trophies is obviously important for all fan bases, but is there sort of that feeling at Villa that, do you know what, this is all great and stuff, but we'd love to have something to show for it as such?
Yeah, I think we haven't won something since '96, like the League Cup. So it is important to the fans as well. Emery's, you know, he's Premier League, he's Europe, the club off the pitch with sort of like financials of growing the club, corporate, commercial. That's a massive side to Villa. Cups are, again, really important, I think. You know, we've got Crystal Palace at home in the next round. Win that, you're in the quarterfinals. You're only 3 games away from Wembley then. So, yeah, I think it would be really nice. I think, you know, you've touched on sort of like Villa at the minute and a couple of years ago. It would be nice that if this is a real purple patch for Villa, that we actually put a trophy in the cabinet, because, you know, it's weird, isn't it, really? Because as a football fan, Champions League, to me, is, for a Villa fan, was like of getting a trophy because of what it brings, the money, the revenue to the club, the players that it attracts. the funny thing about a trophy is you remember it historically, but it doesn't actually do anything. Like if you
No,
win the League Cup, what do you get? About 100k.
they get no money. Yeah.
So it's really weird that you can win a trophy, but to the club it doesn't really do anything apart from it's in the history books. So, whereas the Champions League, for instance, don't you get like £2 million a win or something?
Yeah, you get a lot of money for Champions League. Look, if Villa were to win a League Cup, it would be great for the fans. But in terms of winning a League Cup, for example, is not going to suddenly make Villa a massive football club. It's not going to put you on the next level. Like an FA Cup would be big. I think that's fair. That would be decent. Obviously, any form of European trophy is good as well. But I agree with you, mate. I think Villa, you never know when, like, how long your sort of run at the top is going to last for. There will be difficult periods, and so, as you said, mate, you want to cash in and have something just kind of something tangible to show for it whilst you're still doing well, because there's no given that any team is still going to just do well every single year. But the race for the top four is certainly an exciting one. Villa, Chelsea, both looking pretty good. I have to say, I think we're the two favourites for it right now. I don't want to be disrespectful or rule other teams out, but from what we've seen so far of your Spurs, your Man Uniteds, and Newcastle's, I just don't think they're in the race. But yeah, it's a long season. Football can change very quickly, and could be looking quite stupid with these comments if I look back at them at the end of the season. But yeah, mate, thank you for coming on. It's greatly appreciated as always. If the people don't know, they should know by now, but let them know where to check your stuff out.
Yeah, just YouTube, UTV, you type in, stands for Up the Villa. So, but it's weird that we haven't actually spoke to each other. Last year, we'd done about 5 episodes by now, haven't we?
We've done about 5 games, yeah.
So it's quite weird that we haven't actually played each other yet.
No, it is, mate. But, mate, thanks so much for coming on, guys. Make sure you subscribe to Luke and Up the Villa. Some great content over there. It'll be tagged in the title. Go over there, show him some love. Really good stuff. Make sure you subscribe. Thanks for tuning in as always. Smash the like, subscribe to myself, and I'll catch you again in another one soon, guys.